here and to host this wonderful event. I would like to say a few words about the foundation. Cancer Research and Life Foundation, also known as CRL Foundation, was founded in 2016. CRL Foundation is a public 501(c)(3) that is focused on integrative medicine and the application of natural therapies in terminal patients with cancer. CRL has been an advocate for cancer research and cutting edge since its establishment in 2016. In the past few years, CRL Foundation has supported the discovery of a novel therapy based on solely natural compounds to treat terminal cancer. These natural compounds are extremely safe and effective, but unfortunately not available at other cancer institutions such as Hope, City of Hope, and many others. With the support of our donors, in the past, the CRL has been able to provide financial grants to over 100 patients in the US and abroad to have access to this life-saving treatments for those suffering from cancer. Patients who are some here with us today are a living example of success using translational science through our dedicated team of scientists and research who work very closely with the foundation. Cancer. Hearing the word from a doctor could be terrifying, and the impact, life-changing. The prospect of enduring cancer treatment, its associated side effects, and the unnecessary uncertainty of the outcome are overwhelming, but there is hope. Our mission here is to improve patients' response and quality of life while receiving cancer therapies both in conventional and or research settings. The Cancer Research and Life Foundation is unique in providing cancer patients with immediate help wherever they are in their journey by providing education and guidance and access to research-based treatments and beyond. That is why every patient who seeks our foundation help finds a meaningful solution in an otherwise world of hopelessness. We have 5 goals to be accomplished within the next 5 years, and I'll go through all the 5 goals for you. The first one is educating cancer care providers through precision oncology. As you all very well know, there are currently many foundations that promote either researching cancer or supporting cancer patients by providing educational tools and therapies. Many of those foundations, including American Cancer Society and Lymphoma Leukemia Society, raise hundreds of millions of dollars. Here is what CRL Foundation does differently. First and foremost, educating the providers about 90% of what appears to be effective in treating patients with cancer filters out before it gets to the hands of the patients. In other words, there is a lack of a system that could translate science into the clinics. Goal number 2 would be to educate public and providers about options of care to a patient with advanced cancer. This goal of educating the oncologist is planned to be executed by establishment of a multidisciplinary fellowship program that is pending CME approval. Patients should be educated about the options they have through lectures and conferences. Goal number 3 is improving patients' quality of life and improving patients' emotional burden. As you all very well know, patients' awareness to the therapies that are customized for their care is very important, and also to be able to cover patients' care. Goal number 4 would be cancer rehabilitation facilities. We would want to establish a facility as a cancer nursing home so patients without sources of housing and support could be accommodated. And our last goal, but not least, preventive oncology. To provide genetic testing and screening for patients, relatives, and families at risk. Provide preventive measures to normal individuals at significant risk, and to support the establishment of an insurance policy that could cover the enrolled individuals for the rest of their lives by providing tools which could significantly reduce their risk of cancer based on their genes. Ultimately, with better services to the patients and expansion of their quality and quantity of life, we can also reduce the cost of care in the healthcare system and have a more productive and healthy society. At this point, I want to, on behalf of the foundation, I would love to thank you all for being here and for your generosity and support. Without your kindness, we would not be able to save and change lives every day. Please use the donation box to deposit your donation before leaving, and any donation at any size is much appreciated. Also, please check out the silence auction. We have about 20 different auctions from local businesses, and all the proceeds do go back to the foundation. On behalf of the foundation, we want to thank you again for your generosity. At this point, I'd like to invite our first patient to say a few words, Julie Ertol, who is currently under the care of Dr. Nizami.
I just kind of wanted to speak from personal experience and how this whole journey has felt for me. To have to tell your 3 children that you have cancer is probably the worst thing I've ever had to do in my life. And to have them be afraid and have them not know what's going to happen, and myself saying, no, I there needs to be more. I want more. And most of my journey has been seeking out the why, which no one could tell me why. Doctors couldn't tell me why I was sick. And I went through the whole journey of diets and eliminating products and all these things that society and everyone was telling me, if you do this, you're going to get well. And so many of those things were a source of bondage to me. I was afraid to eat anything. I was afraid to touch anything or use anything. And I think that was the biggest thing when my husband wheeled me in to Dr. Nizami, and I sat at his desk and he offered me hope. I knew it was bad because of the pain that I was in, and I had to have care 24/7. I couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't even go to the restroom by myself because I couldn't walk. And for him to sit there and tell me, I'm going to take care of you, and you can let go of all the supplements and all the diets and all of those things because my treatment will help you no matter what. And it was so freeing to me, and the hope that I received from him was immense. I felt like a person with a family that mattered to him, not just some number that he could take or leave. And I'm sorry, that's how I felt with every traditional doctor I was with. I just felt like a number. And I have always felt like my life was important to Dr. Nizami. And there's nothing greater than that when you're that sick. In the process, every time he would come in, my numbers were dropping by half. And he was like, look at these numbers, look at them every time. He was so excited. And I was still so sick that I was like, cool, great. I don't really know what that means, but you're happy, so great. And it just kept happening. I moved from the wheelchair to a walker, and then I moved from a walker to a cane, and now as you see, I don't need a cane. And you might have thought, oh, look, that poor woman, she's got a limp. And I'm like, oh no, this is great. Where I am right now is great. And I have never heard of anyone coming from the place I was with bone cancer, with fractures, all this awful stuff coming back. I don't know. Has anyone heard of that? I haven't heard of it. And so my life is a miracle, and this foundation has been so generous to us, and they continue to help when we run into problems. Sorry, we maxed out our credit card again. Can you go? And it's just, it's been phenomenal. But I need this to continue to live. I need these treatments to continue on this path. And so we're just praying. We're praying for help, that God will provide what we need so I can keep accomplishing the purpose that I have here, so I can keep being a mom. Marrying my daughter off this weekend, it was a celebration with so many things that I was here. I was here to see it, and the joy in her heart is just, it's just indescribable. So as you see, I'm pretty much completely recovered. I still have active cancer. We're still treating it, but it's not like it was. And sometimes I just can't believe where I've come from. So if you need any motivation to get involved with this, I hope that my story will help you, decide this is something to get behind. This is a big deal, and more people need to have access to this. So that's my story. We love Dr. Nizami. We love the foundation. And
this needs to be the beginning of a revolution.
Yes.
In oncology. This needs to change the face of the way we treat cancer. Again, it's personalized, it's targeted, it's specific, and it's effective. And it doesn't destroy the body in the process of trying to shrink tumors. I mean, we had a doctor look at us 7 years ago and said, well, my job is to shrink tumors, that's what I do. And talk about feeling insignificant in front of your doctor. This needs to be the beginning of something that just takes over. So, 2 years ago now, almost 2 years ago to the day, we found Dr. Nizami. Julie had been bedridden for months. She had what turned out to be a pathologic fracture in her hip, so was completely non-ambulatory. Had been in bed for 3 months or so straight. So I wheeled her into his office in a wheelchair. He looked at the scans, MRIs, lab work, and told us that he was going to do what he could for us. At that point in time, as I said, she had cancer in her breast, her bones, her brain, her lungs, her liver, and the other doctors were just looking at her test results and kind of shaking their head, saying there's nothing we can do. Dr. Nizami assured us, he said they don't know what I can do. So 2 years ago, as of this coming Thursday, she actually had a hip replacement surgery. It was a very high-risk surgery. The surgeon told us there was a very significant chance she wouldn't make it off the table. She's a very determined lady, I can testify, through 27 years of marriage. And she said, you know what, I'm not going anywhere. So we started through Dr. Nizami's regimen of care. And what I can say is we saw the miraculous. I mean, Dr. Nizami almost literally reached down into the grave and pulled Julie out and set her back on her feet. As I said, she had been bedridden, and you can see today, not only is she alive, but she is living her life. She has her quality of life back. She can do just about anything that she wants. And for months, she sat in that bed and she said, I'm not okay with this being the end. I'm still in my 40s. I have a lot of things I still want to do. I want to see my kids get married. I want to hold my grandbabies on my lap. And what I can say is a week ago yesterday, we married our daughter. And Julie planned and set up the wedding. She was amazing. November of this year, 4 months from now, our son's going to get married. And the 15-year-old we still have at home is in no hurry. So, the MTET therapy has been miraculous. Again, traditional oncology had no solution for us. To stand here because of the generosity of others, and we have a deep faith. Our faith has been such a key part of this journey for us. And there were those times where we just cried out and said, "Why, God? You know, why are we here?" And now we're still asking that question, but it's from the other side, saying, when so many succumb to this horrible disease, why are we here? You know, why are we able to tell our story of overcoming, of strength, of perseverance, when so many can't? And that's what this foundation offers, is the opportunity to stand here and say, cancer didn't defeat us. It's not bigger than we are. If we all work together, if we care for one another, if we reach out. This disease touches millions of lives. It takes hundreds of thousands of people every year. And every one of those people deserves the opportunity to stand here and tell their story as well of how cancer didn't beat them. So speaking as somebody who's been touched by Dr. Nizami, by the foundation, I just want to say thank you. This has been life-saving, life-changing. Again, as parents of 3 kids, there have been a lot of challenges, a lot of trying times, and the support we received, the personal touch we received, has made all the difference. And so I just want to thank the foundation. I want to thank the individuals involved for your ridiculous generosity. But our journey's not at its end yet, and the journey of so many others, not at its end yet. So thank you for the work the foundation is doing. Thank you for those that have so generously supported the foundation. And again, I just wanted to share our story, how we've been touched. One story of many, but thank you for your continued support as well.
At this point, I would like to introduce to you the incomparable Dr. Nizami, the man behind this incredible cancer treatment, sometimes known as the miracle worker. Dr. Nizami has completed an internship at USC and has done his residency at UCSF. Being in practice for 23 years, he is currently the president of Orange Coast Medical Center of Hope, Sahel Oncology in California. National and international speaker in epigenetic science, has over 50 publications in peer-reviewed journals of oncology, author and co-author of Precision Oncology, Annals of Oncology, and many others. He is an investigator for Best Case Series by National Institute of Health and National Cancer Institute, the speaker of Caris Life Science and Oncology, and peer review expert in multidisciplinary scientific journals such as Biology and Medicine, Science International, Asian Journal of Medicine and Health, and many more. Chair of Oncology and Neuro-Oncology for several international annual conferences. His main area of interest is customized oncology and epigenetics. Currently has 34 patents globally and teaches, consults, and is extremely involved in research. He is leading the way for several clinical trials in the treatment of advanced and refractory cancer. Please join me to welcome Dr. Nizami.
Thank you very much. After the introduction, I felt so old. 23 years in practice, that's true. Anyways, so with all that credible background, all I can say is that I'm just a good guy that looks after what patients' needs are, depending on what the stage of disease they have and what we can do to basically offer a better life for them. That's my best description of past privileges and and honors that I've had more than any sort of certifications from UCSF or USC or whatnot. But when it comes to human, when they treat with the same drugs and the same cancer, it fails. So why does this happen? Why is it that drugs fail when they try to use them in human? And I think part of it is because the concept of treating tumor and the concept of treating cancer are different. Because cancer is a disease that happens in human, and tumor is a symptom of the same disease that can happen in the lab, in the human, and in mice. In other words, we may be very successful to eradicate the tumor, but the cancer, no. And so anyways, that sort of holistic look, that when a patient comes, you're treating that patient who has cancer. That changes the dynamics, and that's why our treatment is so successful, as I explained, is because we treat the cancer not as a disease, but as part of aberrancy in a physiological growth and development process that needs to be corrected. So the whole concept of stem cells and epigenetics, as you know my lecture is about, is new because we didn't know anything about the stem cells up until 2005 or 6, and then we realized, oh, there's something called mother cells that are producing cancer, daughter cells, which is tumor. And when you look at the scan and you see that there is disease in a scan, so you are looking at the tumor, but you don't see anything behind the scene, which is the stem cells or mother cells. So all the efforts since 1945 that the first chemotherapy agent, meclorethamine, came to the market, accidentally after mustard gas was used in battlefields in the World War, well, they saw that some of these leukemic soldiers, they didn't die, they got better, so they realized there is value in mustard gas that they were using for killing soldiers. The whole concept since then has been around killing the tumor, and not what is behind the scene or the mother cells or stem cells. Until 2005 and 6, and we realized, oh, there's something called the stem cells, and these are the best cells that the body carries. And by the way, when you see a normal, healthy, otherwise healthy individual who has cancer, you scratch your head, what happened? This person is quite healthy. Well, cancer is made from those healthy cells, and that's why I don't call it a disease, because these stem cells are mother cells. They're very healthy. In fact, they're doing something that they're supposed to do perfectly, which is regeneration and repair areas of damage. Now, I always give this example to my patients once in a while when they say, so we really like to have you guys as messengers of the truth, the messengers about the cancer is not a death sentence. You know, in the modules that I have collectively worked on, first one is changing the provider, the oncologist concept about treating a patient with a stage 4 cancer, because everything depends on that. If you go to an oncologist and the first thing comes out of their mouth is that you have this much to live, please step out from that office. Because even me, with all miracles that I have, somebody said, do you have a rabbit in your pocket that you can take it out? I probably can. But even me, I cannot tell a patient how long they can live. It's not up to me, okay? It's not up to us. And there's a lot of examples of that. I can tell you that my patients that I taught, they can live tens of years. They died in a matter of months. And the patients that they were supposed to die in a matter of months, they lived for years and years and years. We can do our best as providers, and that's what we should. But the life and the prognosis is not, let's put it this way, life is not a privilege to be taken away by a physician. And so I don't like that when a patient comes and tells me, oh, my doctor tells me I have 6 months to live, I have 2 years to live, I have 1 year to live. Sure enough, 90% of these patients realize that after they start a treatment with us, that odd is not there anymore because they passed it. So thank you again for listening to all these stories, but I have so much to say. I mean, but when you're treating a patient with cancer, one of the most critical questions that has to be discussed between the provider and the patient is quality of life. What are you looking for in a treatment? Are you looking for a treatment that makes you damn sick, you cannot move, you'll be bedridden, gonna lose your hair and throw up all the time, so that you get some tumor shrinkage, but you're gonna die in the same amount of time? I guess a patient would say no. But this frank discussion never happens between the provider and the patient. They never ask. They did a survey in patients with ovarian cancer. This was published 3 years ago at ASCO. They did a survey on ovarian cancer patients. And they were asked, which one you want more? Quality of life or living longer? And most of them, about 70% of the patients responded, I want a better quality of life, not more quantity of suffering. So that's a question that has to be asked when you're treating these patients. And nobody does that. They start them, and they treat them like mice. You got this tumor, this is the treatment, we're gonna inject it to you. And the quality of life is something that's always missed because they know, the patient that I just give you an example, Eric, a 32-year-old with testicular cancer, tumor markers, the patient with stage 4 breast cancer, she was referred by Dr. Taguchi, one of my very good friends. She's an oncologist that sends patients, and so this patient had failed many treatments, and finally, Dr. Nizami is the last resort. So she comes, and she was on a wheelchair, again, all these wheelchair patients. And after a few weeks of treatment, this is what happens with tumor markers. Look, 1,333, 145, next. Another tumor marker, 3,500 something, and then 233. By the way, it came down to normal range, so pretty much she went to complete remission. There was no sign of cancer in her body. She had, you'll see the scan in a minute. Next one, next one, next one, next one, next one. Very good drop in HER2 levels. There was a study that was published, I think about 5 years ago, that showed the effects of extra virgin, it has to be extra virgin, by the way, not just virgin, extra virgin, olive oil, compared to Herceptin. And the results show that HER2 positive breast cancer responds to extra virgin olive oil as good as Herceptin. Okay, so I gave her some extra virgin olive oil, right? Next one. Next one. This is the MRI of the base of the skull when she had leptomeningeal disease. The survival of these patients is less than 1 month. So if a patient has leptomeningeal disease, they're gonna die generally in less than 1 month. And 3 months later, with treatment, as you can see, the MRI is much better. Next one. Look at the scan. This one is the scan before I started her on the treatment. You pretty much see the entire anatomy of the bones. Anything dark you see is cancer, except kidneys and bladder and brain. This one, completely gone. There is no sign of cancer. 3 months, yeah. So same story, she attended
So for the last 2 years, my wife has been under Dr. Nizami's care. At the same time, she's a beach volleyball coach. She's playing on the beach. She's getting her master's and doing her life. And it's just phenomenal to me. And it still racks my brain because I spent so much time in the doctor's clinic with my daughter, how people would come in, literally get treatment and get better. I mean, it just racked my, I'm like, is this possible? Unbelievable. So her quality of life and what she's able to do now and the lives that she's affecting is just phenomenal and unbelievable. As you can see, she's gorgeous and vital and doing great. So I really believe this treatment should be available to more people. And they deserve to have tests run that are cutting edge and that are give them the best possibility and the best chance of an outcome. So thank you for supporting it. It's incredible financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, what it does to a family to get a diagnosis and to be put in a situation where everything is tested. And to have a place like Dr. Nizami's is really a community and a family that does the best thing they can do for a patient. And that's all you can ask for. So thank you so much for what you guys do.